Hello, my amazing Algebra Half students. This is Mrs. A, and I love math. And I love easy math lessons. And this one is a fun one and easy. So, divisibility is made up of the rules that tell us how to know if a number is divisible by another number. So the ones that are most common for us to talk about are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Okay? And there's rules for each one of these. And so we're going to start with the rule for 2. Now, I don't put number 1 up here because we know that every number is divisible by 1. So we can skip that one. But let's talk about numbers that are divisible by 2. Now, a number is divisible by 2 if 2 goes evenly with no remainder. And we know that this is true. Are you ready for the rule? If the last digit is even. Okay, now even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So we have the last digit even tells us that the number is divisible by 2. So instead of going in order, we're going to talk about the rules that deal specifically with the last digit. Okay, and so we're going to skip over number 3 because it has a different rule. It's not a last digit rule. Let's go to 5. And 5 is a last digit rule. If the last digit is 0 or 5, then the whole number, it can be really, really long. As long as the last digit is 0 or 5, then the whole number will be divisible by 5. So we'll jump over here to the 10 rule, okay, because it is also a last digit rule. So last digit is 0. If the last digit is 0, then we know the number is divisible by 10. So now let's go back. We've talked about all the last digit rules. So now we're going to talk about the last 2 digits. And that will be our 4 rule. Okay, if the last 2 digits are divisible by 4 or 0, 0. If the last 2 digits are divisible by 4 or 0, 0, then the whole number, no matter how big it is divisible by 4. So we're going to practice that one in a little bit. Now, let's jump over to 8, and you're going to see why I do this. If we go to 8, 8 has to be divisible by 4, okay, but also by another 2, because if it's not divisible by 4, it's not divisible by 8. But 8 is actually 2 cubed. Okay, so if we were to divide a number by 4 and still have an even number, then that would be divisible by 8. Okay, so if it's divisible by 4, leaving an even number, then it would be divisible by 8. So that's kind of the 8 rule. There's not really a formal rule for 8, but I have to have 2 cubed. 2 squared is the 4 rule. But then if I divided by 4 and still had an even number left, then it would be divisible by 8. Okay, so now let's look at the 3 rule, because the 3 rule is really going to be part of the 6 rule and the 9 rule. So notice we skipped over 7. There's not really a good rule for 7. So now we're looking at 3, and both 3 and 9 and 6 have something to do with sums of all the digits. Okay, so number 3, if the sum of all the digits equals a multiple of 3, then the whole number is a multiple of 3. If the sum of all the digits, if I add them all up, and it equals a multiple of 3. So multiples of 3 would be like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, so forth and so on. If all of the digits add up to one of those numbers, then the entire number is divisible by 3. Really a cool rule. Okay, now let's look at 6. Okay, 6 is 3 times 2. So if I have an even number that is also divisible by 3, in other words, it just follows the 3 rule, then it will be divisible by 6. So that's really cool. And the last one we're going to talk about is the 9 rule. Just like the sum of the digits equal a multiple of 3 makes it divisible by 3, if the sum of the digits is equal to a multiple of 9, then the whole number is divisible by 9. So now we're going to practice some of these rules. So here we are looking at numbers that are divisible by 3. So let's put a little line across here. That's a second problem. So up here we're looking at numbers that are divisible by 3. And remember, we're adding digits up to find out if it's divisible by 3. So 9 plus 9 is 18. So when I add them up, I get 18. 18 is a multiple of 3, therefore 99 is divisible by 3. Okay, 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 6 plus 9, so the 6 plus the 9 is the 15. 15 is a multiple of 3, therefore yes, the whole number is divisible by 3. And here we have 1 plus 5 is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12, 12 plus 1 is 13. No, 13 is not divisible by 3. So we have 99 and 1,239 are divisible by 3 because their digits add up to multiples of 3. Isn't that cool? So now we're going down here, divisible by 2, 5, or 10. So let's look at each number and see if it follows the rules. So first of all, let's talk about 2. Okay, and 2 goes into even digits. The last digit must be even. So we'll say, yes, this one is divisible by 2. This one has a 2 on the end, and a 2 is even. This one has a 5 on the end, so that's a no. 9 on the end, that's a no. 5 on the end, but then this one has a 0 on the end, and a 0 is even. So those are all divisible by 2. Okay, so now we're going to look at a 5. And 5 ends in the last digit is 0 or 5. So this one is not divisible by 5. This one is not divisible by, but this one has a 5 on the end. So it is divisible by 5. No, because that one's a 9 on the end. That one's a 5 on the end. So yes, it is divisible by 5. And then this one is a 0 on the end. And 0 is one of the numbers that would make it divisible by 5. Remember, 5 was divisible. It was divisible by 5 if there was a 0 or a 5 on the end. So we had 3 of those numbers that were divisible by 5. So lastly, we're looking at the 10. And the 10 has only one number on the end that's going to work for it. It has to be a 0. So no, 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 yes. So this one right here is also divisible by 10. So 4,020 was divisible by 2, 5, and 10. So let's go back with our practice problems. Okay, so here we're looking for divisible by 3, by 5, and by 10. Now we know this one is going to involve sum of the digits. We're going to sum the digits up to see if they equal a multiple of 3. Here and here, we're only looking at the last digit. So since this one is going to be very fast, we'll go ahead and do this one first. We'll be a little bit out of order here. So let's do the division by 5. Remember, to be divisible by 5, we need to finish with a 5 or a 0. So this number here is divisible by 5 because there's a 5 on the end. And this one here is divisible by 5 because there's a 0 on the end. This one is not going to work. Okay, Down here, 10s, divisible by 10 must have a 0 on the end. This one has a 5 on the end. That's not going to work. This one has a 3 on the end. But this one has a 0 on the end. So that one would be a workable answer there. So that would be what? 72,840 is divisible by 10. And so now let's look up here because we're going to have to add up all these digits to get a multiple of 3. So this one might be easiest to add if we start grouping 10s here. So there's a 10. Well, there's an 11. So we got 11 plus 10 is 21. Plus 5 is 26. So 26 is not a multiple of 3. Therefore, that number will not be divisible by 3. So now let's go over here. And I see a 10 there. And I see a 10 right there. So that's going to be 24. 24 is a multiple of 3. Therefore, this whole number is going to be divisible by 3. Okay, and then this one right here, 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 1 is 9, and 9 and 9 is 18, and 18 plus 6 is 24 again. And since all of those add up to 24, the whole number is divisible by 3 because the sum is divisible by 3. I tell you that was going to be an easy lesson. That was an easy lesson. And this is Mrs. A, and may God bless your day.